everyone, I have finished this page that I started in a video yesterday. This is from a Maria Trolle book, Flora, and I showed you how to do this little bit down here, and I've now completed the page, and I thought it might be useful to actually come back and just show you how I'm going to do the little bee. And I thought I'd do a background. I thought it might be useful. It will just be a pastel background and nothing too difficult. I'm not up for doing a pencil background, that's a bit too much. So I'll show you anyway. So let's get started with our little bee, and then we'll move on to the background. Now if you haven't started the page yet, I would just say there's some, in the centre of the flowers, there's some yellow Posca Pen. Now if you want to make sure that's fully dry before you, I'm just trying to move the bee into the middle of the page, there we go, before you think about doing any background. So just a little warning, it's probably quite obvious, but it's just what I tend to do, I've left this overnight, so it's definitely very dry. I'm going to start with some black. Ivory black is our black. It's the Castle Arts pencils that I was using yesterday. I got them back out. So I'm just going to do his head. Now I'm thinking maybe the head isn't furry, so I'm going to do it quite thick. I'm just layering it up a little bit. I want it a little bit lighter on the top because I want to try and emphasise our bee's sort of rounded shape. So there's that bit. Now I'm going to do him stripy, different colours, but I probably won't do black and yellow, which is what I often fall back on doing. I'm going to do maybe a bronzy colour or something like that, a little bit different. So, but let's start with the yellows. I'm just looking at our yellows. We've got a lot of yellows in this castle set, but a lot of them are very pale. And I'd quite like something that's going to stand out. So I'm going to grab the cadmium yellow. I'm just going to sharpen it because these are brand new. A lot of them haven't been sharpened yet. They're a bit square. So the cadmium yellow I'm going to use. I'm going to start on this section here. Now I want it a little darker on the edges than the middle, but I'm just going to put a really light layer right across. I can barely see it. Now I want it to look a bit furry, like it's drawn. So if I do an up and down movement, that will hopefully help to give the impression of fur. With the yellow, it's really hard to see. So here is my other yellow stripe fading towards the middle. But we're going to add a second colour because this yellow is really quite pale, which I thought it would be. I mean, it's yellow after all. It shows up fairly well. But I want to put another colour in and we can emphasise that stripiness. I'm thinking maybe an ochre. What's that? Yeah, yellow ochre I'm going to grab. I'm just going to sharpen and put a few lines in it. Now this would be a little bit tricky. There we go, yellow ochre. Now what I want to do is I want lines across the whole thing, but obviously I still want to make it look paler in the middle, so I'm going to put a lot more on the edge and just a few in the middle, and they're going to show up more because it's lighter, but hopefully we can get it sort of working and looking a bit darker. Once we do the other stripe, which is going to be a bit darker anyway, it might help the illusion, but I'll leave that like that for now, and then I might fiddle around with it a bit more after. So I want to start off with a bit of a darker colour. As I say, I want to go for a sort of bronzy type look. I think maybe the green gold is a place to start. I'm not sure how dark it is, because this one is unique to the 120 set of castles, and so I haven't used it. Let's put a light layer on. Oh yeah, that's a fair bit darker, and make it darker under here. It still looks too pale. So what I want, as I say, a sort of bronzy look, so I need a brown that isn't sienna-y. I might have to go for something quite dark, like the Dyke, I think is what I'm going to have to go for. Yeah, I just hit my elbow on the desk, that was that noise. It vibrates the whole tripod, which hits the lamp. Everything makes a noise. So on this layer, let's hold the page still because I'm doing little lines. You can see how this bit's going to be a little bit darker. Now you could add white lines to this as well to add to the fluffy look, but I don't think it really needs it. And also I'm about to put some pastel on the page. Now the wings I'm thinking hard about because I'm going to put a pastel background. I need them to be coloured hard so they don't take on the colour of the pastel because I want them to look sort of see-throughy. So what I think I'm going to do is do a little bit of grey. We've got quite, I'm just looking at what we've got. I think I'm going to use the cool grey. It's quite a dark grey to be honest. You know it's called cool grey. It's just a cold grey but quite dark. There's a cool grey and a cool grey deep in this set, in a lot of the, and in the 72 set. And they're really similar. So I'm just going to put a bit there and I'm going to try really gentle pressure to spread that out a bit towards the end. And the same here, I don't want it too dark, but this is such an intense colour, it's quite difficult to get it light. So I'm just doing my best. Ideally I would have wanted it a bit lighter, but the really light greys are warm greys, and I wanted this to be a cold grey. Now, in some circumstances here, I would have put a glitter pen over the top of that to make it look shiny because I think that looks nice, but I'm about to put some pastel all over it, so I haven't got time for that to dry. I might do it at the end. I'm going to use the titanium white and go right over. Now you may not see this at all, but I know it's there. I can see it over the black. I'm going to try and go over the outside lines as well. And I want to basically burnish some white into this so that when I do my pastel background, it's not going to go into the paper where the wings are. Now, my aim is not to go too far over the lines anyway, but you know me. Now this white isn't brilliant. There are better whites, but it's working for the purposes of what I want it for. I'm pressing quite hard. If you'd rather, you can use a Prisma white or a Luminance. Those are, or a Chinese white from the Derwent drawing pencils. Those are much better whites, but you know, I think that's okay. I'm going to brush that off, and there you can see our bee. Nothing too spectacular, but I think it's quite cute and fluffy. Now I'm just going to put my pencils away, out of the way, because they're taking up a lot of room. 120 pencils takes up a lot of room on a desk. So I'm just going to move them across into the sunshine over there, and then we'll come out so you can see the whole page. Now I do think this looks quite nice without background, to be honest. Oh, come on camera, be very slow. But I thought it would just be a nice opportunity to show you one, so that's what I'm going to do. It's going to just be, whoa, pencils rolling everywhere. Hold on, let's let them all roll along out of the way. There we go. It's just going to be some soft pastels. So I've got these Mungyo soft pastels. Now some of these bleed into white pen. As I'm going to be using white pen, I want to not choose those, but I can't remember which ones do it, and I know it's probably the pinks. Pinks usually bleed into pen. So here's my choice. Now I've got this purple colour, so I want to go for something a little bit paler. Now I had thought about going for maybe pinks, but I think I might do blues as if there's a sort of sky behind. So I've got this selection of blues that I'm going to be choosing from. My washable cotton pads actually need a wash, so I'm using a disposable one today, but washable ones are very good. I'm going to give the page another brush. It's good to make sure there's no bits of debris on there, just because you're going to be splodging around on the page. And I'm just choosing my colour. I think I'm going to go for the really pale blue to start with and put that all over the page, and then put some darker bits in, you'll see. So I've got a lot on my sponge. I'm going to hold the page on top of a bit that's coloured with pencil that I'm not going to need to go over, because if you put fingerprints on a page where there's pastels, it can get a bit messy. I don't want too much in the middle, but just a little bit. So that may be enough, but on the outside I'm going to put a bit more. I'm hoping that my bee's going to resist this blue. It looks like it has. If it doesn't, because you've got that layer of white, you can gently erase the blue off and still leave, and it won't have soaked into the paper, because soaked isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. It won't have penetrated into the paper because you've got all that white pencil down. So hopefully it will all look fine. And you could always go over it with a white pen if you really dislike how it looks at the end. But I think mine's going to be okay. But I don't get too fussy. Which might be a bad thing really, but you know, I try and take it in my stride. That's the thing. Be laid back about it all. I try to do that with life, but it's not always that easy. But when it comes to things like this, I can. This is my relaxing hobby, so I stay laid back. Because like this blue is going to go into these flowers where there's gaps. But again, I'm going to just put a little bit around here, not too much. I'm going to put a lot more on the edges and corners, you'll see. But yeah, I just try to stay laid back. My son's got his first exam today, one of my sons. The other one hasn't got one today. Right, I'm going to take on quite a lot more, and I'm going to really work it into these corners now and edges. If you're pressing this hard, make sure you're holding the page, because you can rip it. I have done it. I've ripped my page before. It's not very nice. So here it's a little bit awkward. Yes, one of my sons has got his first exam today, so that fills me with stress. Although I've got my two boys, of course. He's not the one that gets stressed in exams. So he was okay. He said he woke up thinking about all the things he hadn't revised. So if you look at this flower here, there's a lot of blue going in it now. I'm not going to worry about it. Now you might want to protect this page from pastel going on there, but it's a little bit awkward to do that. So I'm just going to hope that I'm careful, and I can always erase, because pastel erases extremely easily, which is good news. Yes, so he's got an exam this afternoon, but he went in this morning. He's got a class this morning first. I'm going to go up to the next colour now and get some darker pastel on the page. Yeah, but he's got a really relaxed lesson first. His sort of the subject he chose for relaxation, which is geology. So, and he's got a physics exam this afternoon. So that's all good. His brother is the one that gets stressed. They both got a maths exam tomorrow. So that's, so what I was trying to do this morning was to get his brother organised ready for his exam tomorrow, so he knows where it is, he knows what he needs, he's got everything that he needs in the right place. You know, he's got his pencil case sorted out, he's got his calculator and all that sort of thing, because I don't want him to have to panic about it tonight. I don't really want to talk about it tonight. I want him to, I hope he might not remember, he might, so that he can get a good sleep. You know, he's a bit forgetful and he might forget, and that would be good, you know. People are like, how can you forget you've got an exam? It's like, well, he does sometimes. He's not very organised, and obviously that in this situation it has a positive. The fact that I can organise him and remind him is useful. If I didn't, then that would be a big problem. But I'm hoping that as he gets a bit older, I'm going to go for an even darker blue now. This one here looks a little bit greeny. I'm going to jump up to the next one. I'm sort of hoping that as he gets older, he's going to I'm gonna be able to let him have a bit more responsibility, but for now, just now when it's exams and he's liable to get really stressed, I'm just gonna take over. And also I know that I'm likely to get a lot of grumpiness going on, and I just have to take it on the chin and let them be grumpy at me. And you know, now I'm trying to just even it up so I haven't got weird looking gaps. I do want it lighter around the edge of the item, just because I can't think what it's called, flowers, leaves, wreath, florals, I don't know, because it will stand out better if it's not got too much blue near it. But I also don't want there to be big gaping gaps like there is there. There we go. The centre is very uneven, so I'm going to go back to my light colour now and do a little bit more in there. I mean, it's okay being slightly uneven, that's the sort of look I'm going for, because, well, it makes it a lot easier. But you don't want a big dark area and a big light area, except for, unless it's intentional like it is around the edge. So you can see how quick and easy this can be. You can fiddle for a long time, but when you're just using shades of one colour, it's pretty quick to do. And people do this with paint, and I'm always massively impressed at how beautiful it can look. But I'm not a painty person. I've got watercolour pencils which I still fiddle with from time to time, but I'm not good at painting. So this is an alternative for me, which gives a similar look at a level that I can cope with. I've just realised that that flower, there's a bit in there which I need to colour. It's actually the base of the flower, and I've left it blank. But I'm not going to worry about it now. I'm going to show you the background, the rest of the background. So what I'm going to do now is put away my pastels. You could make it darker if you wanted. I'm not going to. Whoops. Put away my pastels. I'm just going to slide them into their case, because then if they get knocked on the floor, they won't all fall out. I have had that happen where I knocked them on the floor and they all fell out. It wasn't fun. Right. So now I want a white pen. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to use my Jelly Roll 10. I want a thickish pen. Okay, I'm going to lean on this pad and I'm going to do a pattern across the background. I'm going to come in a lot closer actually and start to show you. I'm actually changed my mind. I'm not going to use that pad. I'm going to use a clean one because there's a lot of pastel falling off that one. So I'm going to grab a clean one. Sorry, I'm going to come in really close. I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything in the middle yet. I'm going to start the corner, do all around the edge. So let me pull the book up. So this is the top corner. I'm going to take this pad and lean on it. You could use a piece of paper to lean on. And I'm going to draw some dots. Big dots, small dots. Like this. It's going to look like there's a bit of a paint splat going on. You could do this in darker colour. I've never tried it in a darker pen. I've tried it actually on a page with yellow. It didn't really show it very well because I had a green background, and with gold, which also didn't show it very well on a green background. But white shows it fairly well on a blue. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. Now it looks, as I say, it's supposed to look like paint splats. It is, what I do is for a bigger splat, you see I go round and round. Let me see, are you still in shot? Yeah. So go round and round for a big splat like that. Lots of little dots all around, and then you can do a slightly bigger one. If you take your pen off the paper really quickly, you get a much smaller dot. Okay, and then I'm gonna come out a lot, and I'm going to do the whole page. Now you can see as you zoom out you can barely see what I'm doing. Oh, that was my ring on the desk, I'm sorry. what I tend to do is move from the top right to the bottom left so that I'm not leaning on top of the wet pen that I've already used. It's going to be fainted towards the centre because there's less, the pastel is lighter, but that's okay. I'm not going to do any right in the middle. I think I'm just going to do this on the outside. Now you could do this with actually splatty paint. I've seen it done. Put paint on a toothbrush and splatter it. I mean, it looks like great fun, but I can imagine that I would probably make so much mess that it would just look appalling. Not just my picture, but the room. But I can't really, as I say, I'm not very good with a paintbrush and paint, but if you are, then that's an alternative way to do it. Now I keep my dots fairly close together. I feel it shows up more if there's more of them. Where you could, if you spread them out too much, I think you can miss them. But it's clearly up to you how many you put down, and you can add more, but you can't. Well, can't really take them away. You can sometimes scrape off white paint, but you have to wait for it to dry thoroughly, and it has to be quite a big amount. Or you can quickly, a tip actually, if you accidentally splatter on there, you can quickly wipe it off before it dries. I did that the other day where I did a bit of white pen over the lines, which wasn't what I wanted to do, and I quickly wiped it away with my finger. Right, I'm going to go over this side and do all this side now, I think. Alright, because if I do this side first, I'll put my hand in it. You just have to be thinking. It's like if you're used to using gel pen, you'll know about all this anyway, because you know you have to keep moving out of your own way. I was actually made a right mess this morning. I've got it all over my hand. It's coming off. It was felt tip pen, and I was using a particular book to test them out on because I wanted to tell people what the paper was like. It'll be in my completed pages and I'll explain then. But so I used felt tip pen, a water-based marker, and it wasn't drying as quickly as I expected. I got it all over my little finger here, and I was dragging it all over the page. So there's a bit of a mess. It's not too bad, but I'm going to leave it so I can show it to you in my completed pages video. I think that will be coming out on the 31st, but I'm not quite sure yet. So I can explain to you about what happened, and I can always cover it with a pastel background after anyway, but I'm going to leave it there so that I can show you. And it actually looked quite pretty, but because it wasn't intentional or uniform, maybe probably needs covering up. But anyway. So moving across the bottom now, as you can see, again, you can't, I'm not sure how well it comes up on camera. The darker your background, the more this is going to stand out. I think it just adds a bit more interest to the background, which I like. And it's just, I used it for a picture the other day, well, a while ago, and I got asked how I did it, so I thought I would just demo it so that people could see how very straightforward it is. There's no pastel on our wings at all, which is nice. I think if you burnish the rest, it wouldn't get pastel on it. You can use a burnisher, or you could probably put some white on top of the flowers, but it would change their colour. But there's not too much blue on pastel on the flowers really. I'm just having a look, so I've stopped. So you can make your dots bigger, but I actually quite like them small. This hasn't gone right to the edge because I didn't want to get it on this other page, and when I take my hand off, the page will come up anyway. Yeah, it's not too much blue pastel in any of the flowers, so I thought it had gone into one a bit, but I can't really see anything too bad, so maybe a bit on this edge of this one, that's all. So that's good. I haven't been able to record very much lately, and it's rather nice to be able to do it. My husband's car broke down on Monday, well, the battery was flat, and so he was home all day fiddling around trying to charge it and that sort of thing. Didn't work. So then Tuesday he was home again and I called out the AA, who are a breakdown company. See, this bit is wrong. You may have done it right on yours. Hopefully you did. It's bothering me. I'm just going to correct it before I finish. So I'm just grabbing my pencil. Sorry, it's going to be noisy. My pencils are so warm, they've been sitting in the sun. I want the, what colours did I use? Hang on. Purple Lake, wasn't it? Purple Lake. We'll use the Purple Lake. Now there's a lot of blue in here, which I think I'm going to just erase before I get started. And I've got to lean on this because obviously there's pastel underneath and now there's wet gel pen, but that bit in there we go. And this is the Purple Lake. I'm just going to fill it in. I think I'll grab the Purple Lake Deep and just a bit of shadow in there, the edges. There we go. I'm not going to do too much. I think that's enough. So I'm going to leave that there. So let's come out and show you the whole thing. So as I say, the blue bits probably don't show. I can't see whether they do. You see I've got all pastel all over the page underneath, which is good because it saves it. If you don't put paper under with pastel, now pastel isn't going to transfer through the page, there's no risk of that. However, it can go down the side of the book, down these bits, so put some paper in and that prevents that. But there is the finished page. Yeah, as I say, you might not be able to see the white dots in the camera, but I can certainly see them here. I can't tell, it's quite hard. Let's put that up there. So now you can see how I probably went in a bit deeper on that side than that side with the blue, but once the page is like that, you can't really see that it hasn't gone to the edge. You might want to put some dots in the centre of yours. You might not. I decided, because it's quite light, I don't think they would really show up that well, which is partly why I decided not to. But there we go. There is our finished page from the Maria Trolle's Flora. I hope that was okay. I'm now going to be fussy and delete that bit of blue pastel. There we go. Should have used the brush, but the paint's wet. So there we are. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that was useful for you. Yeah, that's me for today. Thank you for watching. Have a really lovely day and happy colouring.